definitely we knew there would be a time where AI will be on the boom, but happening so soon, I never imagined. So deep learning is a subset of neural network basically. Basis of deep learning is neural network, but if you stack on a lot of neural networks, it becomes when you say deep learning. So it's like that.
इसी केस में फिर भी बहुत मिस्टेक्स होती हैं. If you want to take example of Google's image recognition model, like they couldn't tell the right color of the people.
Medical industry has this boom in AI again. The future of AI, as people say, is bright.
Energy is the biggest barrier to AI revolution. Do you agree?
These days, I love the Copilot actually. I don't have to search through 100 links to find what I'm looking for. Even the data that it's generating on its own is the data prone to many mistakes because it's AI generated. So to clean that data is definitely crucial. So they don't allow people who doesn't have green card. So they tweet that for me as well.
So hello everyone, today we have Kanika here who has background in machine learning and data science from India. इन्होंने decide किया to study in the US and she has experience from machine learning to software engineer, from finance to big tech companies and especially in AI as well. And she's currently working at Microsoft. So let's first start with your background. So आपको पता था कि there will be this big boom in AI when you started learning about AI in your college in India?
Definitely not. So first of all, but hi everyone, I'm Kanika Jindal. I definitely मुझे नहीं पता था कि इतना ज़्यादा होगा. I started back in first year, second year. तब cool projects बनाने के लिए in undergrad, we used to go into search for AI terms and we were like, okay, let's find something and build something out of AI because teachers को भी अच्छा लगता था and grades मिलने में बहुत help मिलती थी, to be very honest. So that's how I started. We had a very basic project where we were just trying to find out कि handwritten अगर हमारा कोई script है so उसको recognize कैसे करेंगे. उस time पे OCR, optical character recognition was in a boom or people were using it. So we were like, maybe we can do it. And to be very honest, there were not enough data sets also present that time. So we had a situation where we were like, अगर हिंदी में करना है तो we have to build our own data set for training because available ही नहीं है. So I started in that time, during that time. And then धीरे धीरे करके my interest started building up. But definitely I never thought कि इतना ज़्यादा हो जाएगा. Definitely we knew there would be a time where AI will be on the boom, but happening so soon, I never imagined.
Yeah, same. I never imagined that an AI engineer, especially an engineer, can be paid as high as 900K as a starting salary with a research background in companies like Perplexity, OpenAI, Google, all these big companies I'd never ever imagined. So इसी बात पे let's start with introduction to AI. So can you explain deep learning, machine learning or neural networks for a 5-year-old individual?
Good question, first of all, because explaining anything to a 5-year-old is the best. It's for everyone. People who don't know about AI or people who know about AI. It's a good question. But there's a very nice analogy that I read about this deep learning versus neural network. So for example, you are a kid and you have a coloring book. So in that coloring book, you take a set of crayons. Those set of crayons are your nodes in neural network. And when you paint that or color that coloring book ka ek page, that is a neural network. So you can make different sets, different designs. How you put your colors, how you color it makes another different kind of image, different kind of painting, different kind of a coloring page. So that is a neural network where you can have your imagination with those given set of nodes. But it's limited, right? तुम एक ही पेज पे कलर कर सकते हो. What if you want to make बहुत सारे pages? What if you want to, you have your imagination and you want to have everything built in a certain way and you want to be more creative, then your space is limited. So neural network mein you get limited. But then comes in the picture of deep learning. So deep learning mein, imagine you have stacks of those coloring books and you are coloring each page with different notes. And now your artwork is like a masterpiece. You can do so much. And that's what is deep learning actually. So deep learning is a subset of neural network basically. Basis of deep learning is neural network, but if you stack on a lot of neural networks, it becomes when you say deep learning. So it's like that. Yeah, for example, like recurring neural networks, convolutional neural networks, these are the basis for today's best doing models like feed forward neural networks, etc. These are the basis for ChatGPT, Llama 3, etc., etc. So that's how, like, when you stack it, you make a masterpiece, is when you say you are in deep learning.
Very interesting, because ये stacks इतने बड़े हैं because we see these terms 70 billion parameter model, 100 billion parameter model. You know, Llama 3 came with also one option of 405 billion parameter model. तो उसको अगर एक kid को imagine करना होगा, they have to imagine those 405 billion pages of coloring book which can happen in a matrix parallelly. So this is so incredible to imagine. Like, this is one of the best explanation I've heard. And like, आपने जैसे बोला कि currently limitation for you was data set, right? So in terms of machine learning algorithms, they have been around from 1940s. Like, currently it's hyping up because we need three things for a model to work. Number one is GPU, number two is data, and number three is algorithms. Algorithms are here from 1940s, and now we have the GPUs as well, thanks to NVIDIA's H100, and we have the data as well. So data, आपने बता दिया कि 405 billion parameters, and how do you manage it? How do you clean the data? And how do you, like, you know, make sure कि data में mistakes नहीं है? Like, do you need a human for it, or AI can somehow do that as well, like these many data sets?
So yes, AI can do it. There's something called where you make the model learn from itself. So वो अपनी गलतियों से सीख के आगे बढ़ता है. So जैसे humans में होता है, हम बचपन में चलना सीखते हैं, जितनी बार गिरेंगे उतनी बार चलना आगे सीखेंगे. So it's same with AI. Like वो जैसे जैसे ट्रेन होता रहता है. In AI, in data science, basically, you separate your data in a way that you can test on something, you can train on some parts, and you can validate on some parts. So, जब हम training कर रहे होते हैं और validation कर रहे होते हैं, उस time पे AI model learns itself. So, हम उसको बस data देते हैं, हमारा काम नहीं है उसको सिखाना कि what you have to learn. वो अपने आप pattern recognize करेगा. Basically, AI is pattern recognition. In anything, if you can find patterns, that is AI. So AI learns on its own.
It's part of reinforcement learning, right?
Yes. Kind of. Reinforcement mein or you get to like next level of making AI learn on itself. But yeah, the basis of AI is learn from itself, learn from whatever data is given, find patterns itself, find patterns.
Now more of AI coming up, but usse pehle I want to tell you an amazing tool just say you can learn about Google Cloud, Amazon AWS या फिर Microsoft Azure, all three subscriptions in one platform without using your credit card in three places. बहुत लोग डरते हैं अपना credit card देने में, but you can get all three access just one subscription thanks to Code Cloud, because Code Cloud believes in hands-on training. वो आपको सिर्फ video tutorials नहीं देते, they make you credentials, go to AWS, go to Azure, या go to any cloud platform, experiment your AI and try it so that you can make sure you're learning this new technology, learning distributed system, learning the cloud computing that you need, and you can put in your resume all three experiences in one go. Go ahead and check out and get the special deal with my link in the description below.
Interesting. But इसी केस में फिर भी बहुत मिस्टेक्स होती हैं. If you want to take example of Google's image recognition model, like they couldn't tell the right color of the people for presidents of America. तो काफी ज़्यादा mistakes हुई थी even after these training. How do you think people fix it after doing mistakes? There's something called fine-tuning a model, something called retraining and recreating a model. So how do you think that these AI experts fix the mistakes in model?
So definitely the more the data, the better it is. There's a term these days called hallucinations. So hallucinations basically are things where कि model की knowledge भी limited है. Even if you provide 400 billion of data, etc., then also it's limited. Because world is very big and whatever humans have learned is out of the scope of AI till now. So hallucinations करने पड़ते हैं. For example, you have to tell certain situations कि अगर ऐसा example AI ने पहले नहीं देखा है तो make some answer from yourself, make something from yourself. So hallucinations are helping in these situations where people like हमें गलत आंसर मिल रहे हैं बट दोज गलत आंसर को, जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल यू हैव सीन कि चैट जीपीटी या कोपायलट दैट माइक्रोसॉफ्ट हैज इंट्रोड्यूस्ड, उसमें भी यू हैव दिस फीडबैक ऑप्शन. एवरी टाइम देयर इज अ फीडबैक ऑप्शन. दे आर फाइन ट्यूनिंग इट ह्यूमन लेवल पे आके. सो आफ्टर एवरी मशीन लर्निंग, आफ्टर एवरी कॉन्सेप्ट, द फीडबैक दैट यू गिव is always important because AI ने वो situation में भी हो सकता है वो कभी पहले देखा ही ना हो. That's a hallucination for AI. So हम जब उसको सिखाते हैं then human level पे आके, then yes, it becomes better.
But feedback can be wrong as well. That's why there is a term called adversarial attacks. You know, for example, like let's say there is an image recognition trained data for a self-driving car. Let's say in hundreds of stop signs, आप accidentally या intentionally उसमें green light की photo डाल देते हो in a training data of stop sign. Now, because of that green light in the stop sign, a car supposed to stop on a red light can go through it and cause an accident. So, how do you prevent it? Like, every feedback cannot be trusted. And is it called, by the way, supervised learning or unsupervised?
If you give the data to the model, it's called supervised. If you're telling it what to do, it's supervised. Yes, adversarial examples that you said कि red light पे अगर हम गलत data दे देते हैं, so that's called optical illusion for machine learning in terms of machine learning. कि हम उसको ऐसा कुछ दे रहे हैं machine learning को जिससे हम चाहते हैं कि वो mistake करे. But that's what I said, mistake से सीख के when you say no, this is wrong, then machine learning again takes it to the next level and say so I made this mistake earlier, but machine learning को हमने बताया ना कि नहीं, तुमने गलत बताया कि वो red light नहीं था. Somebody gave a feedback, right? There's a feedback to a feedback or not.
True, I agree, but still it can be hacked. For example, there are many open source models like Llama 3, which is revolutionary for software engineers. Like usme open source mein, like there can be many ways people can figure out an attack. There are so many dangers I can think of. So can you expand on the dangers and how people can fix it?
Yeah, so the biggest danger I see is in the medical industry, actually. So medical industry has this boom in AI again. People want to use AI in anything which is medical technology, basically. So if you see adversarial examples where false data is being considered true, in those cases it will be very dangerous. So I don't know, researchers are still working on it. I don't have a particular answer to it because it's still in research. And yes, we are still very far from having adversarial effects on our machine learning models. It's still not that bad. But once it's bad, I think that will be like when people say, right, there's a limit to AI as well. So adversarial examples would be the limit to AI in future.
Interesting. तो अब detour करते हैं towards open source AI models. Have you used Llama 3, by the way? Like revolutionary. Yeah, because it's free and people are integrating in so many apps. It's amazing. It's now part of Meta ecosystem, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and plus like GitHub Copilot हम use करते थे. Like you can use Ollama, which can have Llama 3 model, and that does your code completion like GitHub Copilot for free. GitHub Copilot is absolutely free if you find the hack.
Yes, definitely Llama 3 is a revolution, and the best part about Llama 3 is how it has like use case diversity, as you mentioned. So if I want to have my startup, I think it like that way. If I want to have my startup based on AI, which is booming in India right now, like the startup culture, so I can just plug in Llama into any of my data and then have a chatbot of my own or have a copilot of my own and then build a company around it. So the future of AI, as people say, is bright, and people need to start learning and including AI in their everyday life, because आगे जाके वरना you'll feel left out. to be very honest, if I must say. Agar abhi nahi seekha, this is the best time to learn it.
Absolutely, sky is the limit, because like even Mark Zuckerberg in his interview said that he has plans to make it profitable through licensing for corporate companies. For example, if Google wants to use Llama 3, they will charge them, but they will not charge people like us if we want to, use. So it's incredible. But at the same time, like, I feel like, control करना बहुत जरूरी है. And Mark Zuckerberg said that for AI revolution, the biggest bottleneck we have, like biggest limitation we have, is actually energy. तो मैंने कभी सोचा नहीं था कि इलेक्ट्रिसिटी और बेबी सोलर पावर के बाद भी energy is the biggest barrier to AI revolution. Do you agree?
I do agree, yes. So you see all these companies like NVIDIA making chips which can work for AI servers and etc. So it's saying like by 2027, NVIDIA could ship around 1.5 million AI servers units per year. And to make those servers running at full capacity, it would need around 85.4 terawatts of energy per hour annually, which is crazy, right? So yes, definitely I agree that energy, we don't see it like, so when we say things, we see it from a 5-foot level. But when we see the world, we see the things around like 36,000 foot ऊपर से. So the scope is higher, so bigger. So अगर मैं energy के terms में अभी अपने personal level में बोलूँ तो मुझे लगेगा कि I am not using electricity anywhere in AI. Like, what is this? But if I see the bigger picture on a bigger scale, definitely बहुत सारे data centers चाहिए होते हैं वो 400 billion data को रखने के लिए, और वैसे बहुत सारे मॉडल्स आ रहे हैं मार्केट में. सो definitely it's gonna be challenging to cater everything and do it sustainably as well in future. That would be a challenge. Yes. So AI risk जब हम discuss करते हैं तो उसमें sustainability is also these days a term that people use, because yes, we are building servers, yes, we are having data centers, but we can do everything at an extent to a limit. उस limit के बाहर कैसे जाना है वो still they're trying to figure out.
It's absolutely surprising. The amount of electricity needed is like more than some countries are using. So it's unimaginable. Now, what is the best case in your life you have seen for AI? You have been a machine learning engineer, now a software engineer. What is your favorite use case of AI?
These days, I love the Copilot actually. Not promoting Microsoft, but जब हम coding interviews देते थे पहले, I don't know how the scenario is right now, but जब हम पहले देते थे हम एक white board पे लिखने के लिए बोला जाता था कि write the code, write how you will have the syntax for it, if I can say. So with Copilot, at least I don't have to focus on the syntax part. जो अच्छे इंटरव्यूज होते हैं उसमें वो लॉजिक पे देखते हैं, how you have the reasoning capabilities, how is your logical thinking, and not how do you write syntax in Java or syntax in C++. So that thing is currently like my best use case in everyday use. I start working at 9 a.m., work till 5 p.m. I think I use Copilot more than anything else in my life these days. But yeah, that's the best use case that Microsoft has found.
Same. आप यकीन नहीं करोगे, even for code reviews, like literally, if I'm doing code review, I can copy code and put in protected Copilot, which we are authorized for. Like, like we have the permission to use GitHub Copilot. So जहाँ पे you have permission to, you can literally chat with them कि बताओ what PR comments I should write. Like every single part of our life is, made easier with AI. It's just unimaginable.
Yes, definitely. Like I just go to any of these models, the chat models, and I don't go to search actually. So that's what Perplexity has done. Just go to that chat bot and then just ask. They'll give you a precise answer to what you are asking, tailored to your question, to the prompt that you have given. And that's the best thing. I mean, I don't have to search through 100 links to find what I'm looking for. So I don't know a better use case.
Totally. Now, In terms of your life as a machine learning engineer, what is your favorite part of your job had been? आपको models fine tune करने में मजा आता था या बनाने में आता था? What is your favorite algorithm? What are things you love?
I loved making that coloring book में मैंने बोला ना creativity. So I love that creativity part जहाँ पे I can tweak a model like a parameter, hyperparameter by 0.1 or 0.0001 and how the model changed, like how the results were better, how my accuracy was better. So I just used to love that fine tuning part of just changing, tweaking hyperparameters and see how model reacts to it. Because to me still, or to everyone else, the model is still a black box. Like we can put in every math possible, but still it remains a black box how those algorithms, those formulas are working behind the picture. So it's just crazy to see how you can tweak a very small number and it gives you immense, it gives you greater results. Yeah.
And what are the parts you don't enjoy? I have talked to many engineers who are in AI ML. They say कि model के लिए cleaning karna is one of the most boring part. For example, I talked to one engineer. He said, I'm preparing the architecture, Kubernetes, Docker, connect karna, because those are free. If you get a pre-made architecture, that's paid. So Scratch, say Kubernetes, Docker, say, you want to prepare building a model, that is the most boring part for them. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I totally agree. Preparing that data set for your model is the biggest challenge, because if you don't clean it, you're not providing good information to your model for training. And if you don't provide good data to your model, then how will it learn? I said it recognizes pattern from whatever you give it. So if you give trash data to it, it cannot do what you want the model to do. So definitely it's a challenge. But these days there are automated ways of cleaning that data. I'm not sure how to do that with bigger data sets, like the data sets that OpenAI or Meta or Perplexity have. But on a smaller level, in everyday regular machine learning engineer's job, you have automated automation available for all those cleaning of the data sets. So it's still not that best, but makes a task little less boring, if I can say.
Now, can you define AGI, and does it fear you in the future? Because all the big CEOs like Jensen Huang, Mark Zuckerberg, they said there in their talk that currently we are in a stage, there's a possibility कि AI can, grow on its own. आपने बताया that because of reinforcement learning, it can fix its mistakes. It can continue to train more pieces on its own. It can create more AI models on its own. So AGI is not far. अगर आप AGI human, like artificial general intelligence को देखा जाए in terms of English abilities, it's better than humans already. So we have achieved AGI in some cases in terms of language abilities, Spanish, English, Hindi. It is acing it, results prove it. So are you scared of AGI, and can you define AGI, please?
So AGI, yes, AGI is also called artificial general intelligence. It's similar to getting human level cognition in your models. And we are definitely very far from reaching to AGI. Yes, we see it somewhere when you use GPT-3, for example. It has those small AGI capabilities, but still it's not the human level that you are talking to. It was made in a way that when you chat with GPT-3, it gives you results on ChatGPT-3. Then it gives you results based on if you're talking to a human. But it's still not there. We are definitely, OpenAI, for example, has specific collaborations and in the market where they are moving towards AGI, but we are still not there. The lack of, I will say, availability of data right now is the problem. So we say that there's 400 billion data, blah, 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 but it's still not there for what we want to reach to AGI. So we are far.
और इसमें सबसे बड़ा challenge है what I have read is that now, because in the era of ChatGPT from the last 2 years, some of the data is also AI generated, it's artificial. So clean karna, because many AI engineers feel that, training based on existing AI data could be more hallucinated, जैसे आपने define किया. So it does lack a lot of preparations to be done. So do you want to speak more on that?
No, definitely you're right when you say कि AI generated data होता है और वही हम hallucinations बोलते हैं उसे. But AI generated data, again, it will be from the data that you have provided it, right? The base is only everything, like in AI, it's what you have provided and what the machine has learned from it. So even the data that it's generating on its own is the data prone to many mistakes because it's AI generated. So to clean that data is definitely crucial. And if we can build models which can help us clean that hallucinated data, that will be perfect. But right now, as I said, feedback is the optimal feedback, and how you can train your model again on that data, provide a validation set from your from the data which is correct, which is for example, there's some data generated by AI and there's some data that you already have from your test results or etc. You can use that original data set for validation, and you can use that for training. So the model will know that, okay, my actual data, which is a validation data, I'm failing here and here. So we can have a model, or there might be something already in the market where they'll be like, okay, then whatever is different in that data which is generated by just change from validation. If you find like something false positive or something positive and it's negative in that, just go and change it. Fine tune the model using a smaller data set of good data.
But the data management is also very difficult. आपकी team में आपने देखा like are there people like, because there's millions of data parts, right? Like an engineer cannot look at entire data. So how do they manage looking at it?
I don't think so anyone looks at it in a human way, right? Machines are there. So I don't care about how big my data set is. I just want to train it. And to train a model in Python or using any other automated skill, we can just write 2 lines of code and have it trained. It's a time that we are putting in. It's not like I'm looking at the data. If the people who have built GPT, they didn't look at any of the data. They just provided all the data to the model. So you don't go to human level to look at it, right? It's not like I'm looking at Excel sheets.
Now segue from AI से बाहर निकलते हैं. Let's talk about your background. So you studied at USC and you have an incredible YouTube channel. It was really relatable to watch some of your student life and now your engineering life. तो आपने finance में भी काम किया हुआ है JP Morgan में, and you also have worked in big tech and AI. So what are the differences between working for a finance company versus a big tech company?
There are too many differences. Culturally speaking, a finance organization requires you to have a certain decorum everywhere because they are dealing with people's money. And definitely JP being even in India when I worked at a firm called Suprasteria who have their banks in Germany and France. So it was kind of a financial organization. And even with JP Morgan, I found that the decorum that they maintain and the way you have to talk, speak, be ready in the office, or even the office hours are not that flexible, not demeaning any of financial background people. But in software engineering, the strings are not that pulled off, so they are little loose, and you can have your own flexibility. That's one thing. Culturally speaking, if you speak work-wise, definitely in a software engineering firm or a tech firm, you build on products that are software related. But in a financial firm, you are helping people who have their money in with your financial organization, basically. So you build tech around those money matters most of the times. So even if you don't like finance, in a financial firm, if you're a software engineer, you have to learn finance. you have to sit with auditing people, because there can be softwares related to, for example, if you just want to see the bank statements of a person, everything has software behind it, right? How a bank works has a software behind it. So it's just everything is money related there, or like specific to users. But in a software firm, you have the capabilities to go beyond just one set of problem, which is money. So you can go beyond, like you can have a gaming section, gaming department. You can have a bank department as well, finance department within a software firm, but that won't be true for a financial organization.
Got it. So what were the challenges in your case? What were the things you were forced to learn or you loved learning about finance? जो आपके लिए नया थे, challenges mainly.
My challenge, I like finance, and that's how I got into data science and into JP Morgan. My everyday challenge was to learn and be aware of all the terms specifically that finance people use. Definitely, I know what formulas goes in, how do we calculate, etc., etc. But on a ground level, they use different kinds of language. They use different language, different terms. To learn that and be aware of it within 3 months during my internship period was challenging for me.
And by the way, this podcast was only possible because of Mint Mobile. Because with Mint Mobile, first of all, that is my favorite career provider, favorite SIM card provider from the last 4 years in the US. And with Mint Mobile, currently they have a deal with just $15 per month. You can get everything unlimited text, unlimited calling, unlimited 5G in the US, which is usually much more expensive. 50% off right now, only if you check it out with the link in description below, and you can activate before coming to US, and it is eSIM compatible. So go right now to mintmobile.com/sync.
And you cracked these jobs, JP Morgan, like Microsoft, in the era of recession 2023, and you started working there. So how difficult was it? How did you learn the right resources? What were the best networking aspects you used?
Yes. So it was not a great time because COVID just hit when I started my master's. It was still ongoing when I moved to US. Definitely not the best time to be in the industry, as you said. My criteria actually for where I want to apply or how do I want to apply was very filtered. I was not applying to every other company just to get a job, but I was applying to only the firms where I am eager to learn and I'm eager to work for. And that kind of thing, if you can get an interview with that company, helps you in those interviews because they see that passion. You know about that firm. You know about what they are doing, what they're capable of. And when you show that to an interviewer, no matter like how skilled you are or how much they have to put in to make you learn things, they will hire you because you have that passion for that company. And even like if I have a company of my own, I want my employees to have that passion for my company, to work on my product as their own product, right? So I just put that thinking everywhere if I give an interview. And fortunately, I got those interviews lined up in that period of recession. The market is still not the best right now. But once I had that interview opportunity, I made sure that I'm giving my 1,000% to it. In terms of how I learned for all these and how I prepared for all those interviews, USC courses, I drove my master's around taking all the courses which I want to learn on brush up my skills on. Masters is definitely not the place where you are learning things for the first time. You have already learned those things in undergrad and you are just brushing them up. You are just elevating your skill set there. So I took all the courses in a way that, okay, my interview is lined up probably in a month with Microsoft. Let me just go through with my data science course book. Let me just go through my algorithms book because I learned that, right? So I took my courses in a way that will help me in my interviews. That'll be lined up for my third semester.
Incredible. So, how did you personalize your application for JP Morgan? Can you give an example? आपने कैसे अपना passion prove किया? Did you go to their office randomly and मतलब कुछ लोग कहते हैं like I have some friends who just go to their office, मुझे HR से मिलना है. So how did you express that passion?
No, I definitely didn't go to their office. I do have a Chase bank account if that helps. But no, that was not the case. I worked in India with a financial firm, and even all my projects, they were aligned towards my personal projects or the projects that I did for my company. They were aligned towards finance, helping banks, helping people who have financial terms on their background. So I made this very cool app for my father, who's a businessman, where he used to note down in a very old way his everyday transaction. So I made this very cool app where you can put in those not only put in those transactions in the end of the quarter or like whatever time period he decides, it will give you a gross of everything. It was not data science at all, but just everyday software, right, in financial terms. So I just use those formulas to put in to calculate so that he doesn't need a chartered accountant at the end of a quarter or at the end of the year to tell him how much he made money and how much he has to pay taxes for. So all these small projects that you do in everyday life, that proves that you want to do this and you really are passionate about it. Just for JP Morgan specifically, I joined, there's a hackathon that happens every year, which is organized by JP Morgan. It's called Data for Good hackathon. And because of that hackathon, like I was provided with a team of 3 by JP Morgan when I joined that hackathon, and they provided us with a data set, and it was a very simple task of like, what can you build out of this? Can you build a dashboard? Can you build an AI model? Can you train a model? What can you do? It's like they just gave me a coloring book and colors, and I have to paint it now. Same example. So yeah, fortunately, I was the only one towards the end of that hackathon who was able to build a dashboard around it using very simple tools in Python. And there, a recruiter asked me if I can interview for them. I don't know if otherwise I would have, if I would have gone the regular way of just applying for a job and getting into it, I don't know if they would have agreed to it. But just because of that hackathon, I got that job, I feel. And not just that job, actually. I was very fortunate enough, and I feel myself like lucky enough. The recruiter changed so many policies just around so that I can join them. I did not join them in a regular, in their regular semester of internships. I joined them in fall, where I had no intern working with me. I was the only intern in JP Morgan globally. So they tweaked that factor for me. They were like, yeah, please join our team whenever you can. So I'm like, okay, I am free in fall. I can do a internship then. They also don't allow people from who have F1 visas. Because it's a financial firm, it has a lot of US data. So they don't allow people who doesn't have green card. So they tweaked that for me as well. And I think that's a policy now, or some of the applications that they are giving out now have that. Some of the people reach out to me asking, how did I go to JP Morgan? Because they don't allow people from not having green card apply. So yes, they do change their policies if you're good enough for them. So just prove your passion.
That is a wonderful example. Like, आपको out of the way जाने की जरूरत नहीं है recruiter के पास. Like, there are so many apps. There's Eventbrite. There's Luna app I installed. Like, which shows in Bay Area there is always a tech event every week. Every week there are 2 to 3 events. So if you go to these events where JP Morgan is there, or all of those financial companies are there, show your passion somehow or the other, or like with the help of an hackathon you did, you can be visible and they will do anything, because उनके लिए बहुत मुश्किल होता है to find the right candidate who can work, because interviews में they don't see your finance skills, they just see the interview skills which are, superficial. वो जो DSA वगैरह. So I think you become a very unique candidate if you can show hands-on skill in person. So वो आपने prove किया and it's wonderful. And do you think Microsoft was similar as well? You had to show your passion aggressively, or it was easy? It was easy.
Microsoft was not that aggressive, to be honest. But yes, I do have to sit in for like 5 interviews even for my internship. I don't know if that's their regular interview criteria, but just because of the market, not crash, but market being low on providing those job opportunities, I think it was like that. But once I got into my internship, I made sure that I show my passion every day for Microsoft. I work for them at my 1000% capacity every day. So again, during my internship, I was given a project where I had a front end, back end, and a database to handle and build an application from scratch. I don't know if every intern get that kind of a project, but for me, at least, that project helped me showcase all my areas of expertise. So find something like that, even if you get an internship opportunity with a company, because that's what drives companies. That's what shows about you that you are capable of handling every difficult situation, whether or not you have been skilled in that.
What a wonderful example. And now my last question for you will be, like, in terms of your master's journey, USC to cracking a job, do you think how big of a role USC, University of Southern California, played in your life? And would you go back to the same university if you wanted to start your master's journey, or you would think differently now?
So I'll be a little biased here. I love USC, and I know USC is... USC is a great school because it provides you with all the facilities that you need. It's in California area. You can travel to Bay Area whenever you can. California is the tech hub for every software technical tech company. And so being in USC, yes, I would rather do it. I will do it again if given a chance. I think it was a life-changing moment for me when I came to US. I came to US not to get a job initially. I know everyone says, but for me, it's very true. I was working in India as a machine learning scientist. I was getting good projects there. I just left my job and came for master's because I felt like this is AI will be the thing in future, and I need to be there where the actual development in that area is happening. So I just wanted to be near to those great mind people, those great ideas, and hence I moved to California. So yes, I would do it again. How USC helped me in cracking those interviews or getting to where I am right now? It was a catalyst, actually. So every day I used to see hundreds and 200s of people talking around me in AI through their coursework or through their projects. But every day I used to feel, damn, I don't know anything. I need to go back and learn. And when you have that thing, okay, I know nothing, I want to go back and learn. That's when you learn something, you grow. So that was my motive every day. I used to go to my school and say, I know nothing, and go back and learn everything. So even for today's podcast, like, you asked amazing questions, and there are some things I'm going to take away. To some extent, yes, being in California helps, because as you mentioned, all those events, when you go to those events, you are not just going there to have an interview cracked or have a job opportunity. You're going there to build your network around it, so that whenever a job opportunity comes up, that recruiter remembers you. So you are just going to be into that circle. So being in California helps in that way. Also, now things are going back to normal. I have seen my friends who are being flown from different cities, states to California to interview for smaller startups, or the startups who have great products but are still struggling into finding good engineers. So they do put that expenditure on themselves to do that. So if you are in California, they don't need to put in that much expenditure on you. So that helps. You get easier interviews for those companies. And वो एक होता है ना कि आप उस हवा में हो, like around you, everyone is talking great. Everyone is talking the best about AI. Everyone is talking about what's there in the market. So you being in that environment helps. As I said, you go back and learn every day. You know that I don't know anything. So वो वहाँ पे रहने में help करता है, and मुझे भी वो help किया था.
Incredible. And a final last question will be, how do you keep top of news, AI news? What are the best resources you use, papers you use? How do you keep updated with everything in AI?
So curiosity, first of all, and with that curiosity, you need resources, as you said. Definitely, I sit through every day for half an hour to listen to podcasts or to, like, whenever I'm driving, whenever I am just cooking anything or anything, some mundane job of my everyday. I just put a podcast from any AI person, and that's what makes me like curious about it. Podcasts are good. You can just plug it in and watch or hear anywhere. The second resource that I use is definitely news articles. So every day there are hundreds of different things going around in AI. It's moving so fast. I know you cannot keep up with it with every detail or every minute detail, but just be curious about those headlines as well. That's a great example. And if one of those headlines catches your eye, then you can just go in and read in detail. That's the best, I think, resource.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kanika. It was wonderful talking to you, and I learned so many things which are absolutely going to help me a lot. I'm going to look back, and I hope it adds a lot of value to students watching this video as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for calling me here.
Yeah, and don't forget to check out Kanika's channel in the description below as well.